All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. We're going to look at a surprisingly brutal, totally invisible battle that's literally happening right on your kitchen counter every single day. You know, we usually think of cooking as this peaceful, creative thing, right? But the reality at the cellular level, it's intense. It's an absolute war zone. So today, we're unpacking the fascinating, tear-inducing science behind a vegetable we pretty much all take for granted.
We're starting off with a super relatable question from a viewer named Stacy. She wrote in to tell us that she basically weeps like she's watching a tragic romance movie every single time she makes a simple stir-fry or soup. And she asks, is the onion mourning its own death, or am I just emotionally unstable? Well, Stacy, it's a fantastic question, and honestly, the answer is going to completely change how you look at meal prep from here on out.
Because there's a really stark contrast here. From our human perspective, we tend to project all this emotion onto the act of weeping over a cutting board, kind of thinking it's sentimental, but the onion's reality? Totally different. The onion doesn't have a single empathetic bone, or, well, cell, in its body. Instead, it's an absolute master of chemical warfare. While you're standing there being emotional, the onion is actually launching a highly calculated localized gas attack specifically designed to blind you. No joke.
So let's look at the physical trigger here, what we can call phase 1, the breach. The exact moment your knife slices through those crisp layers, you aren't just prepping an ingredient. You are actively breaching a deeply evolved cellular armory. You're physically breaking open these defenses that nature has spent thousands of years perfecting just to keep predators away.
And the sheer visceral act of slicing is so intense that, according to our sources, your brain actually processes it as a major traumatic event. Seriously. The sensory data from chopping an onion is so distinct that your brain might actually recycle it later when you sleep. It uses what psychologists call day residue to construct these bizarre nightmares where you are the one being cut in half. That is exactly how deeply the physical destruction of this plant registers in your subconscious.
So the really crucial point here is this rapid tactical sequence. It's basically a lightning-fast chain reaction of visceral chemistry. Boom, the physical slice ruptures the cell walls. That instantly releases a specialized enzyme. And right away, that enzyme goes to work on the onion's stored amino acids. Literally, in the blink of an eye, it synthesizes these highly weaponized volatile sulfuric compounds.
Which brings us to the absolute star of the show, syn-propanethial-S-oxide. Now I know, it sounds like something straight out of a high-tech bioweapons lab, but it's not just some fancy scientific name. That is the exact propanethial gas wafting straight up from your cutting board. Produced through that crazy enzymatic chain reaction we just talked about, it acts as a highly sophisticated chemical defense mechanism. Its one and only purpose? To target and irritate the eyes of any predator that dares to take a bite, which includes you.
Now, you might naturally assume the gas itself is the primary weapon, right? But here is where the science gets truly diabolical. Entering phase 2, the actual devastation doesn't happen while the gas is just floating around in the air. Oh no, the real damage kicks in the exact second it makes contact with your body's natural moisture. Specifically, the moisture resting right there on the surface of your eyeball.
Because that volatile gas reacts chemically with the water in your eyes to create a mild form of sulfuric acid. Let that sink in. Our sources actually frame this perfectly. By just standing over that cutting board, you are literally making acid on your own face. You're completely unintentionally manufacturing your own misery by providing the absolute final ingredient, water, that the onion needs to complete its weapon. Wild, right?
But fortunately, your nervous system absolutely steps up to the plate here. Your brain, which, generally prefers that your eyes remain unmelted by localized acid, senses this severe irritant immediately. So it sends out this frantic, high-speed emergency signal straight to your lacrimal glands to kick off an immediate retreat response. The brain's protocol is super simple. Flush the system and get away from that plant.
And our sources use a really brilliant phrase for this. These incredibly efficient lacrimal glands basically act as the firefighters of your face. The second they receive that emergency signal, they leap right into action. They instantly flood your eyes with a massive tsunami of tears to rapidly wash away the acidic irritant. It's literally a biological rescue mission happening right there above your cheekbones. So,
Let's take a look at the final scoreboard here. Stacy, and honestly everyone else watching, you aren't crying because you're sad, and you're definitely not emotionally unstable. You are crying because you just decisively lost a skirmish in a microscopic war against a plant. The onion successfully irritated a predator, it forced an involuntary physical response, the weeping, and it seamlessly delivered a biological get-away-from-me sign that works flawlessly pretty much every single time.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I think it's a great reminder that the natural world is just packed with secrets. Even everyday foods sitting in your pantry are secretly trying to irritate, digest, or just completely baffle you. But knowing what you know now about the onion's brilliant and, frankly, ruthless chemical warfare, how are you going to protect yourself the next time you face off against one? Are you going to keep your goggles on in the kitchen to survive the next microscopic skirmish, or are you just going to surrender to the tears? Stay curious, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.
With that, you'll certainly die smarter, but you'll still die. But before you do, don't forget to like the video and subscribe.